of the world leaders attending the 2017 ASEAN summits and related meetings have arrived. Many landed in Clark, but there are also those who opted to arrive in Manila. Our Angelo Alimario has more.
More leaders from ASEAN and dialogue partners arrived here in the Philippines today. Now, the sweltering heat of the sun greeted the world leaders at the Clark International Airport, and more than 1,000 students from Bulacan and Pampanga give them a warm reception. It's a welcome that didn't go unnoticed. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau approached the performers and personally greeted them. It's a move appreciated by these students. Now, other heads of government who arrived here at the Clark International Airport are from Laos, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Australia. But there are also those who landed in Manila, and coverage of their arrivals at NAIA was prohibited, though these leaders are from United Nations, Japan, China, South Korea, and Russia, among others. Now, airport authorities are pleased with that their months of preparation paid off.
Totoo kami sa ngalan ng National Organizing Committee, kami sa Clark International Airport Corporation na atasan bilang bahagi ng committee nito na masiguro na maging masinop, mapayapa at sistematiko ang pagdating at pagbalik sa Manila ng mga ASEAN leaders at saka yung mga ASEAN invited leaders.
The spotlight now shifts to Manila for the upcoming ASEAN Summit and related summits.
President Rodrigo Duterte takes up the maritime row with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It's a thorny issue that the president has been criticized for, as he's seen to take a soft stance on China's aggressive activities in the disputed waters. He says this time China guaranteed safe passage for all in the South China Sea. Trisha Terada has more.
President Rodrigo Duterte calls his meeting with China and Russia the most meaningful of bilateral talks. Once again, the South China dispute was taken up, and Mr. Duterte says he had some explaining to do.
He was quite surprised about my coming in very strong of my statement here about the conduct of the sea. I said, I'm not raising any sovereign issue. Do not worry. But I said, as chairman, I was made a tunnel for the communications to be active. And I said I had to do it because the Philippines chairs the ASEAN now. Hindi naman ako pwedeng I cannot escape that from my duty. So I have every right to ask him. But I explained it to him in a very nice way that it was all there is to it.
He says China gave this assurance.
Now that he have explained, and I said, he assured us again, now do not worry, you have all the rights of the safe passage. And so that will also be applicable to all countries.
Mr. Duterte says he is aware of the clamor to settle maritime disputes as there are overlapping claims. But he asserts the arbitral ruling only applies to the Philippines and China. The July 2016 ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration invalidates China's claim to almost all of the South China Sea. Mr. Duterte also says Chinese President Xi Jinping committed to work on code of conduct on the South China Sea to settle disputes through peaceful negotiations. He again says the Philippines isn't giving up its claims on the South China Sea.
We never surrendered anything. Just say, I do not want to talk about this for the moment. It is not time for aggression. It is not time for violence. We have so many problems domestic to take care of before we start to venture on some sort of an aggressive stand.
The president says he is looking forward to a bright future with China.
I assured President Xi Jinping of our friendship and that it will remain warm and robust.
That's as Beijing promises to help fight terrorism and drugs.
Association of Southeast Asian Nations Secretary General Lee Long-min admits the South China Sea dispute and tensions on the Korean Peninsula remain as top concerns in the region. He says in over 50 years of its existence, one of the ASEAN's major achievements is ensuring political stability in the region.
peace and stability in the region, peace stability for the member countries, peace stability for the South Asian region, and even peace and stability for the wider Asia-Pacific region. And second achievement is the success, in the economic integration. And the third achievement, major achievement, is the building of the ASEAN institutions.
Min says for the 31st ASEAN Summit tomorrow, leaders are expected to sign a consensus on the protection and promotion of rights of migrant workers. The Philippine Foreign Affairs Department considers this a centerpiece of the country's hosting of the ASEAN Summit. The Philippines is boosting defense ties with Russia. During the bilateral meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, President Duterte thanked Russia for the weapons and military equipment it donated. He says the Philippines will buy arms from Russia. This after the purchase of firearms from the United States did not push through. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque added the two countries will also sign deals on education, transportation, and energy. President Donald Trump has arrived in the country. This is his first ever visit here, his final stop for his tour in Asia. He was previously in Japan, China, and Vietnam. This 12-day Asian tour brings him closer than ever to two crucial global issues facing his presidency. These are tensions with North Korea and trade with China. President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks with President Duterte on the sidelines of the ASEAN Summit. The South China Sea dispute was taken up at the recently concluded APEC meeting in Vietnam. Now the Philippines and other parties may have a new mediator. Our correspondent AC Nichols tells us more.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano says the Philippines is open to the idea of U.S. President Donald Trump mediating between claimant countries to the South China Sea. Speaking in Vietnam before heading to Manila earlier today, Trump said he was prepared to mediate in the territorial disputes. Cayetano said he believes it was a genuine offer from the U.S. president. Cayetano recognizes this would have to be discussed by ASEAN members, but he believes everyone welcomes the offer. Right now, Cayetano says ASEAN remains focused on getting the Code of Conduct done. The Foreign Affairs Secretary explains the work may seem endless considering the issues are so complex. So what President Duterte wanted to do as ASEAN chair this year was to calm things down and get everyone talking. Cayetano admits it's not a perfect situation and there are still a lot of things to talk about, but he believes we're in a better position compared to previous years.
The ASEAN lanes officially took effect yesterday. 4 lanes on EDSA from Balintawak to Magallanes are closed to motorists to accommodate delegates attending the ASEAN. Let's see how this is affecting traffic. Our Zian Arcangel reports from the MMDA Traffic Metro Base. Zian, how's the traffic so far?
It's Sunday, but traveling along EDSA is taking longer than usual because of the ASEAN lanes. On the southbound lane, traffic is moderate to slow moving along Cubao. It will ease after P. Tuazon Avenue, but there's build-up once motorists reach Santolan all the way to Shaw Boulevard. Vehicles are also moving slowly from Guadalupe all the way to Ayala. Motorists traveling on EDSA's northbound lane can expect a smoother travel as there are no traffic jams. But there's a slight slowdown in front of SM North EDSA going to Muñoz. There's no word if the ASEAN lanes will be open to the public again. That's because the VIPs and the delegates who came from Clark, Pampanga are expected to make their way to Manila tonight. The MMDA says only emergency vehicles, responders, and marked vehicles will be allowed to use the ASEAN lanes if there are no convoys of VIPs and delegates that will pass. So for motorists who want to avoid getting stuck on EDSA, it's best to use the 17 Mabuhay lanes as